Good evening. I'm Jack Cowherd with the Great Rivers Council Membership Committee, and we're going to have a orientation for our Cub Join Night recruiting tonight. On with us tonight is David Harris and the council staff, John Favitz, and Kirk Boyer. And I would turn it to John just for opening statements and a welcome, if you wouldn't mind, John.
Sure. I know we're still expecting a few more people. They're starting to come in now. So welcome everybody. Look forward to this presentation tonight. You know, we've spent a lot of months and times planning to get to this point to where we are now. A lot of energy, a lot of feedback from you, from other unit leaders on ways to recruit, engage our new families that we expect to join this fall. So there's a lot of information tonight. And definitely hope for you to follow along in the recruitment guide as well. And I know Jack will talk about that, but look forward to all the great information and looking forward to a really, really successful fall with all the energy and resources and leadership and everybody behind this plan. So looking forward to great things to come. Thanks, Jack.
Hey, thank you, John. We'll hear from our council commissioner, Kirk Boyer.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, I just want to welcome everybody as well. You know, part of this might be, well, is this membership? Why is a commissioner talking? And, you know, commissioners and membership, this is really an all hands on deck. The recruiting is, you know, it's vitally important to all of us right now. And, you know, we just all need to come together. Your commissioners are there to help the units, unit health. Part of that is recruiting. Part of that is making sure that as we get the folks on board, and if we're working to get the folks on board, that the new parents, you know, are feeling welcome and so forth, and that the units have what they need. And that's the commissioner's responsibility, and why we want and are welcoming and encouraging commissioners to be fully engaged in this process. So if you're a unit here with us tonight and you're not sure who your unit commissioner is, please let us know, and we'll make sure we get you in touch with your unit commissioner so that you have the help that you need through this very important recruiting season. Thank you. Jack?
Thank you, Kurt. Earlier today, I don't know whether you all got this or not, but there was a note came in from the national office, email, and there was a quote in there from Scott Sorrell. Scott is our national commissioner, and he was making some comments about a Harvard study of 17 to 15-year-old kids, and showed this recent study showed 2/3 of these kids were they showed clinical significant signs of anxiety and depression. The study also came around and said some of the solution to that was positive experiences, structure, routines, exercise, and less screen time. And I think that study and a lot of things, those of you that are in kind of the Columbia, Jeff City region may have seen KMOU tonight. News was all about depression and being locked in from the pandemic. I think that we need to look at scouting as part of the solution for our kids and to help them achieve. And I'd like to just kind of keep that in mind as we go through and we're thinking about our recruiting. The rest of the meeting tonight is PowerPoint, and we've got, we're more than welcome, more than happy to take any questions at any point in time. You can use your chat, raise your hand, and I think somebody will see it, and we'll stop and try to address any of your concerns as we go along. Let's go to the next slide, David. As John alluded to, the membership committee has been working the last 7 or 8 months, and we've had a series of Zoom meetings with target groups meaning current Cub leaders, current Scouts BSA leaders, commissioners, parents around our region, and trying to determine what we need to do to counteract some of the COVID issues this past year and how we recruit and build Cub Scouting, and then eventually continue building our other scouting units as we move past this Cub Scout issue. Each of you I think you've had, assuming I did the emails correctly, you got a hard copy or an electronic copy of Cub Scout Pack Join Night and Engagement Guide. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We've developed that guide out of Operation GROW. Operation GROW is to generate excitement, recruit new youth and families, organize new units, and watch scouting change lives. We want to help parents help their kids. We are part of that solution, and we need to be out there and recruiting people pretty hard and fast. The next slide. So the Join Night plan, the fundamental concept is escape the great indoors. We're going to talk about several strategies to do that, to continue not only Cub Scouting as we knew it a couple years ago, but what happens if we can't continue as we knew it, and give some other ideas. And we're 4 keys to success on that's relationships, marketing, how we're going to execute, and engagement of scouts and parents. Now, the real issue here is pre-planning. Pre-planning will lead to our success. If we don't have planning, it will have mediocre success and wonder why. If we just do the same things we've always done and not really focus on execution, we're probably going to get the same results. We've got to think outside the box a little bit and move forward with perhaps new ideas, perhaps incorporating old methods into new methods, and work on that way. So we're going to talk a little bit about relationships. David's going to talk about our relationships and how we start moving toward positive relationships. David?
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, the first key that he mentioned there was relationships, and relationships are all about our connection to our constituents, particularly the organizations that help make scouting happen. That is the chartering organizations and our schools. You know, we're a membership organization, and were it not for the scouts, we wouldn't have any reason to exist. So we need to make sure that we're reaching the places that make that happen. So, you know, the success of any PAC or council or district's recruiting efforts is going to depend on the quality of those relationships. So we need to have regular communication with school leadership, our staff meeting with superintendents and principals, and unit leaders meeting with principals and building administrators. You know, when you sit down with that building administrator or that principal, you need to be talking about what your options are, what you can do as a unit to interact with the kids in that school. That is the best place to find them, and that's where we've had our success over the years. So will the school let you have a booth at their back to school night? Will they let you distribute flyers either physically or digitally or both? Will they let you set up yard signs outside and posters inside? Will they let you hold your recruiting event at the school? If they will, that's the best place to do it. Will they let you come in the day of or day or two before that join night and do school talks in lunchrooms or classrooms or assemblies? Will they let your scouts, particularly this applies to the private schools, will they let your scouts wear their uniforms to school on the day of your join night? What sort of communication systems do they have that you can tap into? All of these things are things that you're going to want to know what the options are. You'll see a logo on the bottom left of the screen there, the BSA Adopt a School program. It's something that we've seen used around the country, and it's a great way to network and to strengthen that relationship with the schools and provide service projects to the school that your unit has adopted. So make sure that you're utilizing that and be visible. Get out there, participate in the summer of service, have your scouts out and around in the parks doing cleanups or going on hikes or doing field trips. People need to see scouting going on to remember that it's a big part of what makes us successful. Jack, do you want to add anything about that? You want to mention the newsletter, the partners newsletter
Sure.
that we just kicked off?
Sure, and I'll go back and pick up on item number 1, communication with school leadership. We are communicating with the superintendents in Jefferson City and Columbia, working hard on trying to break open communication with Hannibal, and we're expecting our district executives to be touching base with their school superintendents to ensure that we can have access, and then they still have to work down through the building principals side of that. one of our communication strategies this year is a partner leadership, that partner newsletter that we've been sending, that we sent to all school leadership, and we'll have another one going out in early August. And in that one, we're going to build on the benefits of scouting, try to build a little bit on the mental health pieces, and then try to answer a few questions about what Scouts looks like today. And the newsletter in probably October, November timeframe will do some of the similar type things, but maybe we'll be more focused on middle and secondary schools and focused on scouting, venturing, and exploring, where this one's going to be more focused on the Cub Scout growth. We're also developing a letter specifically for superintendents and trying to encourage them to provide that access and provide contact names for parents. So that's those types of things that are available to us in various methods. So those are some of the things that are trying to get done. Now, the relationships section, if you have your guide to your PAC Join Night guide, most of the relationship items are discussed on page 2 of that guide. The next slide with the advent of additional infection and just a lot of stuff on the news, we've been talking about what happens if school access is limited, and we decided to put a slide in and be a little bit more specific. Even if school access is limited for outside building use, I think when you look at the political environment right now, unfortunately, schools are going to happen this year. So how does that change what we do, if any? I would encourage you to keep positive in working with those building principals. And even though we may not have access to the interior of that building, it's pretty common. We're going to have athletics, we're going to have football games, and we're going to have volleyball. Well, volleyball's an inside, but we're going to have soccer. So what are our access to facilities outside of that school building? Does that school have a outside lunchroom, picnic area? Is there a patio? Is there elementary schools typically have large drop-off areas that aren't used at night? Can you use those types of things? Keep focused on material distribution. Even though we may be closed access to a building, they're still going to have school. They're going to have material distribution in some ways. Yard signs and posters that John mentioned. Then to explore other community options for meetings, whether it's a fire station, police station, maybe some churches. Again, they might not let you in the building, but is there a space on the outside of that facility? And you typically, weather's pretty good in September and October, so you can typically get some Cub Scout meetings or den meetings at that point. And there's nothing wrong with a den meeting in a home as long as you're following 2 Deep leadership. I think for several of us, that's the way Scouts used to be delivered. I think we've gotten away from that and looking at it, and for a lot of reasons. But as long as you have that 2 Deep leadership and protect yourself and protect those kids, you can still do some of those types of things. And you've got to keep communication through that social media. We know our elementary parents right now are communicating with their cell phone and text messaging and other social media. They just don't look at the mail. I get so frustrated with my own kids. If I send them a note in the mail, I'm pretty sure it doesn't get read for a couple of weeks until I text them and say, hey, there's a check in there. You better open your letters. That type of thing. And I don't think my kids are any different than what we're seeing in other parents and coming through. We're going to transition just a little bit and talk a little bit about marketing. We have been talking about marketing, but on your guide in page 3 and 4, there's more information in terms of marketing. And I'll jump in. Well, John, would you go ahead and jump in here and talk about marketing and really hit what the Great Rivers Council is going to do for the units?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me start off and talk about one of the very first ways that most of new parents interact with your unit, and that's through Be a Scout. Your Be a Scout pin is the very first way that majority of people are gonna interact. They're gonna search Be a Scout because we're promoting it locally, just about everywhere and anywhere. The national organization promotes it as well through some ad buys online. So Be a Scout is your first opportunity to interact with those parents. This is where they can find out information on who your unit is, where they meet, how to join, joining actually, and joining online. There's a QR code on the left side of the screen that's a Be a Scout pin tutorial. I definitely encourage you to go to that QR code. It's also in the guide and talks to you about step-by-step on how to access your Be a Scout pin, how to update it. But we want to make sure the most updated information is on there, and everybody knows how to find you if they're looking for you. Other things, great way to marketing is the back to school night, meet the teacher night, right? We talked about if school access is an issue. Hey, meet outdoors, right? Maybe they can let you meet out in the breezeway or in front of school on your back to school or meet the teacher night, right? They may say no to indoors, but hey, we're outdoors, right? Scouting is all about being outdoors. So think creatively, but being at the back to school, meet the teacher night or open house, whatever your school calls it, or even kindergarten roundup if your school has that. Great opportunity to interact with new families. School talks, great way. In fact, between school talks and flyers, this is over 40% of our families find out about us between these two methods. So definitely this is something our staff is happy to assist with going into schools during the daytime. And if we can't do that, we'll go out on recess. We'll talk to the kids as they're getting off the buses or as parents dropping them off. We'll find a way one way or the other. But school talks is a key component to recruiting and engaging with our new youth. Schools have a lot of other methods to get in front of families. Every school probably has some sort of a PA system, maybe an in-house video system. Digital resources we have available is a school talk that's pre-recorded, that's on YouTube that can easily be played on an in-house video system or just as a commercial over the PA system. So think about that resource is available. Your PTA or your PTO or some sort of parent organization you have in your school is another great opportunity to get them involved. All of them have their own Facebook page. They have their own communication list, and definitely encourage you to reach out to them to help them promote your join night and to be a good partner with you as well. Peer-to-peer recruiting, phenomenal way, especially for anybody that's brand new to the organization. Hey, they want to invite their friend, their classmate. They're already having a great time in scouting. Set up some sort of peer-to-peer recruiting. We're talking about doing some sort of an incentive on peer-to-peer recruiting in October. That would be a discount off of membership. So one of the things we're going to play around with. Uniform days, another great way to promote. Have all the scouts that are already in your unit wear the uniform to school. Social media, I can't stress this enough. This is another great way, whether you have a pack Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or using some other source. Think about making sure you have a good, strong social media presence, have photos of the last events and activities. They want to see fun stuff, right? Parents want to make sure their kids are doing fun stuff and having fun. So having a good social media presence is also a pretty key component to marketing your unit. There's other ways to promote besides social media. There are things called next door. And if you live in a geographic area, next door is another great way where you get a lot of peer-to-peer interaction, people asking about activities to sign up for. It is heavily female driven on Nextdoor. So think about who in your pack can help engage parents that are on there, or even promote your join night and what you're doing in scouting. Other ways to promote. Every community has community days, festivals, fairs, county fairs, whatever those things are. Great way to put a booth, to run an event. I see stuff happening at county fairs, fall festivals. I've seen a lot of requests come in. They want to do a fundraising booth. That's great. But think about it as a promotion opportunity as well at some sort of a community awareness day. And we'll talk about some resources we have available at the council level here on the next couple slides. So next slide, Dave. So what is the council doing for you? The council has a significant budget that we've allocated this year to help promote scouting just about anywhere and everywhere, right? We got resources available. Flyers, sure. We got yard signs. I've got more yard signs than I've ever ordered in my career. We want to make sure these yard signs are up in prominent locations. They do have the beascout.org on there, but also they can be customized for your pack. and when your join night is, right? Posters to hang up in school. We'll have plenty of those. We partnered with a marketing firm to run a social media advertising and kind of a smart geofencing, so to speak, with social media and Google ad buys as well. So something we're looking at, and we're actually, the Facebook ads are already up and running. Google ads will be running up in August. And not only will they be geofencing geographic locations of like towns and cities, they're also geographing high traffic areas that are prominent for use. So think of like YMCAs, think of school districts or ball fields. So we're geofencing around some of those on Google ad buys as well. So if you're searching for your ball field in your community, because you need to find out what time T-ball is tonight, you'll see a scout ad possibly pop up as well. We've got equipment, we got resources. We have 2 inflatable archery ranges, 2 inflatable BB ranges, thanks to a grant that we got through an electric co-op. These are available for your unit to use for those community recruitment nights. All that we ask is if you have somebody that's able to run the range, we definitely need help with that. We don't have enough people to run those, but we can get you trained as a range safety officer to run those. There is a request form on the QR code on the left side of the screen. Says digital resources. If you go to that QR code, at the very bottom of that page, there's a online request form that you can fill out that'll go to Drew at our office about getting one of those BB ranges on the calendar for your unit. And again, a lot of other great resources on there as well. Some digital resources, whether they're videos, bookmarks, other things we have available. Other things we're spending money on, wristbands, stickers, those kind of things when we go into the schools, prominent use, and get kids excited about scouting. And it's a good way when they get home, they got that wristband on their wrist, or they got that sticker on their shirt. It's a nice visual for parents to see, like, oh, scouting, okay. We also have these 2 invention lab trailers. Again, same thing. We can run a program out of those and be a great way to put into your local pack or your local community event as well. We've got billboards up and running right now in our council. I think most of them are located in central Missouri at the moment. I know Columbia, Jeff City, Fulton, I think Sedalia right now, but they're going to be moving around. We have 10 of these that'll be going up throughout the year. Between now and December, they'll move around based on availability with the agreement we got with Lamar. So really excited about those. Another thing is I travel in and out of our communities. One of the things I always pay attention to is banners, right? You go across that intersection in town, or that major street, Main Street, Church Street, whatever you want to call it in your community, and you'll see these banners that go across the road, roadside banners. Those are opportunities to promote scouting as well, right? So we've got, I know I've got one going up in Fulton in September, but we're going to print the banner. Would love to get it in other communities at different weeks. I've seen other locations, Eldon, Mexico, that have locations that put these banners up in major intersections that tie to posts that are the city has available for nonprofits. So think about it when you're out and about driving, and look at, where things are being promoted. Where can you stick a banner? Where can you stick a yard sign? What is available? I'm happy to help try to facilitate some of that, but I need to know. We don't necessarily know all of those in every single community. So if you see great locations, send them on to your district executive, or reach out to me as well, and we'll see if we can facilitate. Most of them are free. All we need is get the banner there. So lots of great resources. Every day we're seeking new things out. There's a coupon book here in Central Missouri called Ad Sheet. And one of the things in that ad sheet has coupons. Well, we have the ability now in Be a Scout to do discounts for joining membership, right? With our council membership fee, I've got the flexibility to maybe do some one-time discounts in there. So we're going to explore that this fall. And we're going to have an ad sheet. And it's going to be $5 or $10 off membership, for joining this fall. And it's got a discount code. We'll have it open for the first 100, 200 scouts to sign up online. This is why Be a Scout is so important, having a good presence there, right? It's 25% of our members are joining through Be a Scout versus in a pack these days. So having your Be a Scout pin updated, we'll have some discount codes out there as well randomly. We're going to do some campaigns probably in September as a peer-to-peer. That's a discount as well for new members joining. So we're going to throw everything at this possible that we can this fall, but we need your help to market. We'll have some sample press releases on our website as well. Think about church bulletins. Think about, I've got Greg in our office. We're working on some canned stories that you can send out to your local newspaper, because, hey, local newspapers are looking for good things to print. And if you can put a story in there about your local pack and have a pre-written story, all you need to do is put a quote in there when your join night is. They'll typically print it. So lots of resources, but we can't do it all from our office. We're going to need your help. And if you need things that you're not seeing, please reach out to any member of our team, and we'll get you the stuff necessary to have and market your unit. The other thing I forgot to mention real quick is geofencing on Facebook. One of the things that we have available is we did this last, I think, 1 or 2 years that Dave ran this, is geofencing your local pack join night on Facebook. Again, we got a request form that we just launched on Facebook. You give us the information. We need about a 3-week notice. We'll submit everything on Facebook. We'll put the event up. It'll be through our Facebook page on the council, and then we'll geofence to that location, right? So if your join night's at the school, the park, we'll geofence 1 or 2 miles, depending on how your school or the little pack next door. We want to make sure we're not advertising on top of another pack, but we'll geofence around that join night in your community as another way, great promotion, because if your family is anything like mine, we look through Facebook and see what kind of events are happening, and Facebook's a great way. And if we can advertise through that and be top of mind awareness, again, it's another hint. It's not one thing. It's going to take 6, 7, 8 different notices for parents to realize where scouting is and be aware of that local joint night. So we're willing and ready to help with any of your marketing needs as well.
Thank you, John. And we'll go on and start moving to talk about execution. On the banner issue, I found that the city clerk here in Fulton knows anything and everything. And it's an individual that I would have never come up with, but I just kind of noticed that she had a lot of contact listed on that website. So just something you might look for. Execution is a big deal, as you will know. We're starting off tonight a little different than we have in the past. If you've watched other video Zooms, we're talking about personnel to start with. We've got to have personnel in place. We have a vision, and partially coming out of the council national office. Every district needs somebody in your pack that's a new member coordinator, and somebody to manage this, focus on it. They're going to work with the committee, your unit committee. They're going to participate in training. They're going to lead the pack and how you plan this attack to get more kids, to get your word out, to entice people to Cub Scouts. And you're going, after they get them in that door join night, you're going to ensure that they feel welcome and engaged. That's a job description for a new member coordinator. That information is outlined in your guide in roughly pages 5 to 13, but it starts on page 5. So the new member coordinator is a local pack person. Then as we move forward with our council-wide membership committee, we had a vision that we would have a district leader or a council leader be there to assist you. And we called that person the joint night ambassador. And our vision was that every district would have a membership team member that was active. Right now, we have a couple in Boone and 5 Rivers, Kinderhook. We've got people that are active working there. So that may be a membership person. The joint night ambassador may be a membership person or another volunteer. Most, as we started with Kirk's comments, most likely it's going to be your commissioner or district executive. They're going to provide that support for your join night. They're going to work with your new member coordinator. They're going to help you plan and get that off, get it to come off. At the end of this presentation, we're going to show you a planning sheet and a way to kind of move your whole process forward. And we're going to encourage, that joint night ambassador is going to encourage your unit member to get some training also, and we'll help you with some of that pieces too. So we've got 2 people that we're talking about on the execution side. One is a pack person, that new member coordinator. The other is a district or a council leader, which could be a membership team membership committee member. More likely, it's going to be a commissioner or district executive for all of you. And those commissioners are going to be working right with you and your district executive. So you can see that it's going to be a multi-focus approach from local, district, and council to help you execute the joint night plan. David is going to walk through next couple slides and talk about some pointers on joint night. And again, these pointers, most of these pointers are included in your joint night guide. Okay. David, please jump in.
Absolutely. Yeah. These pointers and a lot more you'll find in that joint night engagement guide. Great resource. We're trying to hit the highlights of it, but there's a lot more information that you'll find in there as you're planning your unit's event, or if you're on here as a joint night ambassador when you're working with that unit to plan their event. You know, the units that are most successful have taken advantage and have the right person for that new member coordinator, somebody who's outgoing, somebody who remembers what it was like when they joined and the questions they had, and is very welcoming and helps those families feel like they're engaged from the outset. Those units have a well-planned and well-promoted join night. Could be doing a join night as a round-robin table station model, which is the preferred method. You have your join night running from 6:30 to 7:30. They can come and go as they need to. It's respectful of their busy schedules, and the families can come in and find out what they need to find out, fill out the paperwork, get registered, have some kind of fun game going on for the scouts while the parents are working their way around the room. But you don't have to go one way or another with your joint app, but make sure you've got it planned. Make sure that your new member coordinator is engaging as many other leaders and parents to spread the load of that promotion and that execution of that school night. Make sure you've had that meeting with your building administrator, your principals in the schools, and you've got that school relationship. And probably the most important piece of paper that your PAC will bring to a school night, or a joint night, excuse me, is your PAC information sheet. Your PAC needs to be doing your planning meetings. I'm sure some of you already have your planning meetings for the 21-22 school year, what your activities are going to be. But it's great to come into that meeting. The joint night ambassador is going to bring a lot of stuff, and we'll hit on that in the next slide here. But you need to have a one-page PAC information sheet that tells those families, gives them a snapshot, the next 90 days or so of activities, when that parent orientation night is going to be, when you've got some welcome events for those new scouts to get launched right into the fun stuff that they're expecting out of scouts, and gives them a little bit about contact information for the key leaders in the PAC, and just gives them a glimpse of what's going on. You don't want to overwhelm them with too much. You can go into a lot more detail at the parent orientation meeting, but that one pager is your great chance to give them some general information and really the things they need to know when they walk out the door at the end of the evening after having signed up. So what is it that you're bringing to your joint night event? As I said, that PAC information sheet, that's the key piece. A PAC display. Maybe your PAC display is a bulletin board full of pictures and patches and souvenirs and things from different events that you've done. Maybe you've got a sample handbook for all the grade levels, or sample books for leaders. You have a game and an activity going on for the young folks, like I said, and you have manpower for that event. Maybe you partner with a Scouts BSA troop nearby to come in and help provide some older scouts to help entertain the new Cubs as their parents are getting all of the information. And money management materials. What I mean when I say that is, cash for making change, your PAC checkbook, so you can write a check to turn in those applications at the end of the night. Maybe a credit card reader if you're taking electronic payments. If you are doing that, or maybe a laptop or a tablet, so folks can register online and pay through the online system. But if you are doing that, make sure you've got good Wi-Fi or cell signal where you are. That joint night ambassador, that district representative, whether it's a membership team, a commissioner, or a district executive, they're going to come in the door with a kit that's full of all of the forms, the applications for youth and adults, new parent welcome guides, that give that parent a glimpse into how scouting works and what they should expect along the way. That new parent welcome guide is going to be the tool that you use when you hold that parent orientation meeting later. They'll have signage for outside the building to make sure people know where they're going in if they're not familiar with the location. Signage for inside the building to get them directions through the building to wherever the room where you're doing your meeting is. Supplies like pens and paper clips and tape and that sort of thing. And an envelope to turn in all the paperwork and payments at the end of the evening.
Okay.
Jack, were you talking engagement?
Yeah. I want to back up just a minute. This new parent welcome guide, it's in its final revisions in the office, and we'll have one out to you in probably another week or so. But it's about ready to go, so you can see what it is and work through that. So when we know that you've got to get families engaged pretty fast. If they're not engaging at 60 to 90 days, you're probably going to lose them. So what are you going to do? You need to have some kind of a communication plan. Somebody needs to reach out and talk to those folks. And I'm using that word talk, and I mean, maybe it's an email, maybe it's a text message, whatever your PAC's preferred communication method is, to keep those parents informed and give them an opportunity to keep their kids informed and come back. You need to think about that parent orientation night. That needs to be a separate meeting from the join night. Your join night, your focus on the join night is to get the registration materials completed and get those completed and turned into the council office the next day, because John's going to talk about what the council is going to do once that registration is completed. But we can't do it from the council office until you get it to us. You're going to hold some kind of activity, event, welcome families. Maybe it's a joint event with several other scout groups. Maybe it's something that schools already got on the schedule, and you're just going to convene your scout group and talk to them for a couple minutes. But some way to keep the parents engaged. And you're going to commit to get all new Cubs through the Bobcat rank within the first 60 days. Kids like rewards. When you walk in a school building, you see a list up on the principal's office or in the doorway, caught being good. Kids like rewards. I used to think the dance parties they had were absolutely nuts in elementary school. Kids like the rewards, and they worked hard to get to go to that dance party every Friday night. Scouts is no different. We have rewards built into the system. So what are you going to do as a leader to ensure that young Cub Scout gets that reward the next week or two and gets to wear that belt loop or patch or whatever that might be? John, would you kind of talk again and reinforce what the Great Rivers Council is going to do for our units?
Sorry, I had to come back on video. Yeah. One of the things that for every new scout, we've got, we had these left over from last year because unfortunately COVID kind of delayed our membership last year. We weren't able to recruit as many as we wanted to. Every kid that joins and every family, there is a mini flashlight and a carabiner knife in there as well. So I know we had these last year. Some people may remember those, but we've probably got about 1,000 of these in our basement. I want to get them out into the units, but we'll give you those if we get trade you some applications once they come to the office. So really excited to get those out to our new youth and families. That'll be on the back of the flyer as well. So that's a promotion item that'll be on the back of each join night flyer.
Okay, let's move on to the next item, David.
All right, talk a little bit about engagement. You want to take this one, Jack, or you want me?
Go ahead, David. Go ahead, that's fine.
Well, we talked about the PAC orientation night, or referenced it a little bit earlier, but that's your opportunity to really go into a little bit more depth with those families of what scouting is all about and what their role in scouting is. You don't want to overwhelm them with too much at that join night. We found that most families come into that join night having already made the decision to sign up. Okay, any better? Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Most families come into a join night with the expectation that they're going to sign up, but they're not looking to get hit with all kinds of overwhelming details. They're not looking to have their arm twisted to become a leader that night. That can be a bit overwhelming. We don't want to scare them off, but that orientation night is your opportunity to introduce them to the scouting program, follow along with that parent welcome guide that they were given when they joined. Welcome them to the meeting, welcome them to Cub Scouting, have an opening ceremony, maybe get the Scouts BSA troop to do a flag ceremony, or one of your Webelow Den to do a flag ceremony. Have an activity for the Scouts to do while you're doing that overview for parents. Maybe you could even use this as a second chance for those families that weren't able to join, or those phone calls you got that said, oh, we missed your meeting, is it too late to join, and invite them to come to this. But that's your chance to talk to the parents. Give them a little overview of what Cub Scouts is and how it works. Talk about some of the activities that are coming up, that information sheet that you gave them. In addition to, PACs holding welcome events, the council and districts have a variety of different events that go on in the fall, whether it's a Cub rally at Bass Pro in Columbia, or a Cub Mobile in Jeff City, or the Scoutorama down at the Lake of the Ozarks at Kinderhook, or all kinds of different events that are happening around the council that are opportunities for those Scouts to get that instant gratification. Talk to them about those activities. Make sure they understand that scouting is safe. Make sure they understand the youth protection policies that we have in place, and the background checks that are done on all leaders, because they want to feel confident that they're doing the right thing for their children. Talk about costs and opportunities for them to help earn their way through the fundraising programs, the popcorn and burgers and others, to help pay for their scouting experience. Talk about uniforms. And this is your opportunity to talk to those parents about what their involvement in is. We know that the best PACs have more leaders than the worst PACs. You've got to have a good involvement of your parents, and everybody has to do something. It's not going to be, not everybody has the time in their schedule to be the Cub master or the den leader, but you need to make sure that everybody's got a job and everybody's playing a part in it. And over the years, those of us that have seen this through all the way through the Scouts BSA program, we know that the kids that make it all the way through the program are the ones that have had a parent that's been engaged along the way. So make sure that you're talking to the parents about the importance of their involvement. And it's not just the importance of their involvement, it's the fact that they get to be involved. They have an opportunity to build those memories right alongside their children, and what a great place and way to do that. So that's your parent orientation meeting. Jack, what did I miss there?
If you didn't miss anything, I'll just add a couple pointers that on page 16 in your guide, there is a whole page outline of how to run a parent orientation meeting. They've got times set out for it. They've got bullet points for every time, and it allow you as the PAC leader or the den leader to jot down who's responsible for those. It's a copy sheet that you can give out, and you can follow it. A proven guide that has worked throughout the council and this and other councils. So those are the major points that we wanted to make. Let's move on, David. Okay, so what do you need to do now? You need to be calling your district executive, your district membership chair, or your unit commissioner. Whichever you're comfortable calling, you need to call and schedule a time to talk with those folks. You need to understand who the leadership is of the school you're trying to use, and go visit those people. Probably visiting them right now is tough, but a phone call, letting them know, an email. Most schools have those emails posted. You can give them a holler, a shout out on email, something that you can get in and start creating a positive relationship. Now, when you make that call to your district executive or membership chair or commissioner, here's what you're going to see. Let's go to the next slide, David. There's going to be a planning sheet. We have the planning sheet that we will be pushing out that has a lot of information on it. And we developed the sheet so whoever you're contacting from the district or council can sit down with you and walk down what you need to do. They start with when your meeting is and work backwards of what you need to do to have a successful meeting. There's a lot of things on that sheet. Maybe some of them don't apply, but I suspect most of them apply in one way or the other. In all the discussion that we had over social media, there's an item on here midway through marketing that the office needs to know what your social media plans, if you want help, about 3 weeks prior to the event. It takes a little while to get those organized. So your DE, your commissioner, membership person is going to have a sheet to walk you through. Let's look at the
Hey, Jack, I think that's an important point maybe to stress with the commissioners on the line here is commissioners need to be side by side, making sure those units are walking through those steps and that they're planning their night. So
we may have these slides out of order. We probably should have started talking about set a goal. We're going to ask you to gather some information about the number of kids in your school, the number of kids you're planning on recruiting, what your PAC goal is. And this year is really a dynamic year to be recruiting because we have 2 years to recruit out of. This year's first graders did not get recruited last year as kindergartners in most cases. So you have 2 opportunities to get a good group of people and start a couple different groups in with your planning and your goal. David, do you have anything else to say about the goal setting piece?
No, I don't. I think we hit it all there.
Okay, well, let's move on to the last slide we have. We put these things together, kind of a things to do, success strategies. I think a lot of this information, most of you are successful in your business, your jobs, and you've seen some of this kind of stuff. So planning and preparation, I don't think you can overplan or you can over-prepare. I think that is the one thing that's going to distinguish scouts from other organizations, other youth organizations. You need to, as a PAC, you need to recruit and engage a dynamic new member coordinator. That person needs to be a people person. You may need somebody else to help them with the details. A lot of times those extroverted people person just can't pull all the details together that they need to at times. So you got to look at that. As a Cub leader, you know what your people are. You know who they should be. And so make a good choice and don't take no for an answer. Approach them and convince them that this is the best thing they can do for their kids. Needless to say, start on time, and I'd also say end on time. People don't like meetings either way. They don't start on time and don't end on time. Do a promotion, provide directions. I think David hit that pretty hard, directions and greeters. School buildings are confusing. If your school building in your community is like most, they've been built onto a couple different times, and there's all kinds of rooms and hallways. So make sure you have signs and you know what you're doing and how to tell people to get into the meeting. Focus on being a Cub Scout. Fundraising will happen later. Don't scare people off by the thought of fundraising. Get them fired up about their kid, their son or daughter being a Cub Scout. Keep it simple. Complete applications at join night. The council needs that stuff to be able to do what we need to do to welcome new folks and hang on to them. Always follow up with your families. Even if they walk out the door and they're not coming back, you don't know. They may come back in another year. They may come back. They may send somebody else. So keep that communication open. Be sure you have plenty of help there. Current parents and leaders. Nothing will sell better than your own parents having a good experience for their kids. Wait till the parent orientation to come to recruit new parents, and start small. Don't ask somebody to be pack master or Cub master the first night. Start small and work them up to a good unit. Schedule the next dinner pack meeting soon after your join night. Don't let them go too long. What we hear from folks is they want to know what the next activity is. Get it on their schedule. And we've got to work with them, engage those parents to make that activity a priority. I think I've told several groups that when my sisters and I were growing up, Sunday school was never an option. I mean, never. There was no, we were going to Sunday school no matter what or where it was. Church, we could talk our way out of it sometimes. So it became a habit, and we just knew that was going to happen. As we got older, church became a habit, but still, we need that den and pack meeting to be a habit. We need that going on that refrigerator calendar, and those kids looking forward to coming back. We would open, John, there's a question on here about financial aid. Can you speak to that, or David, either one of you?
Sure. You know, we never want to turn away a kid because they can't afford it. So we do have a grant assistance form that we've had available in prior years. Of course, it is available again. I don't believe it's up on the recruitment website as well. But for those that are needing some financial assistance, especially on the council membership fee side, we can definitely work with some units on that if need be. So,
are there other questions or comments or people would?
Or what else? You know, what else is happening out in your unit, or what else are you guys looking at, or some great testimonies of promoting or engaging families? Love to hear it.
Well, I think one question we had in another session was if a PAC doesn't have enough help, can they get a troop to help? And, you know, we talked about that being a great idea to go ahead and get that troop engagement, just get the help you need. And again, if they need help, the commissioner can help line them up with whatever assistance they need to have a successful recruiting night.
We do it.
It's hands on deck, right? We want anybody willing and able that wants to recruit new families. We want them helping.
David talked about adopt a school. And I am sure that most principals in the state have things they would like to have done around their building, even if it's just a simple setup for PTA meetings or school plays or something of that nature. That's something that our Cub Packs can do. And just as importantly, it's something that scout units can do also, and working through that. And as the kids get older, there's a lot of service activities for scouts to read to students, help with reading programs and those types of things working through. But it's a matter of talking to that principal and asking the question. And we're going to try to raise some of those questions in the partner newsletter. And hopefully the principals will be asking you those questions of how you can interface, and they can make suggestions for your interface. Well, I don't see anything else, John. So if you'd like to close it out, then we'll send people on their way tonight.
No, appreciate people coming online tonight. Listen, there's a lot I know we're probably throwing at you, but a little preparation, a little planning, using that family engagement guide and recruitment guide. If you utilize those guide, follow some of the step-by-steps in there, you'll have a successful joint night. Please do not wing it. It's definitely going to take a little planning, a little preparation. You know, the council's putting a lot of resources behind this, but we need your help. We can't do it. It takes all of us to get things done. So I'm excited about this fall, excited where we're headed. A lot of great things here going on in this council, between things going on in camp, a new adventure center, an office coming in Columbia in 22, a lot of positive momentum. I'm looking forward to carrying that into the fall. So appreciate everybody spending the time with us tonight, and look forward to hearing from you shortly.